me be the first to say a very blessed, happy Easter to you. You know, it's not going to be but just a couple of days until we'll be celebrating one of the most wonderful holiday times that there ever was. I guess outside of Christmas, this particular holiday, because we celebrate the birth of Christ at Christmas, but what he did and what Easter commemorates is so many more times more important to each of us, because it's something that's going on and on and on down through the ages of time. We celebrate the death and the resurrection of our Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. I can never think about this time of the year without thinking about my dad, because my dad loved flowers. He could plant anything and it would grow. He'd say, Arlene, the most beautiful time of the year is spring, because the ground that has been laying dormant and dead all winter long now, with God's help, starts to produce some of the most beautiful, fragrant flowers. And one that was always at our house, even as a kid, and of course, since Paul and I are married, this is a hyacinth. This is the most fragrant, this and the lily of the Easter flowers. And I love this smell because this small little plant can permeate the whole first floor of your house. It has just such a strong, pungent odor. And don't these colors, the pinks, the pastels, remind you of Easter? That's what Easter's all about to me. Getting prepared. It's a celebration. You say, well, should we celebrate the Easter bunny and all of that? You know, as long as you're celebrating the real meaning and you have entered into a personal relationship with that Savior, Jesus, that we're talking about, these other things are but minor things. And I think any day that we celebrate something, it should be a celebration of family and togetherness, of good food, and just a time of sharing with all the other members of your family. Well, today, that's exactly what we're preparing. We're making a buffet dinner, an Easter Sunday buffet treat for you and your family. And the main course is the roast leg of lamb. And we'll be right back to begin in just a minute. Stay with us. Here's today's at-home hint. To color coconut, place the coconut in a Ziploc bag. Add a few drops of the desired food coloring, close and squeeze the bag until evenly tinted.
If you have an at-home hint, a favorite recipe, or just a friendly greeting you'd like to share, we'd like to hear from you. Post it in the comments of this video or visit our Facebook page.
Well, the main course is this leg of lamb. If you've never done a leg of lamb before, it's not a big procedure. It's not hard. Lamb is sometimes, people say, oh, I don't like the taste of lamb. Don't knock it till you try it. I think it's, to me, this is like a special dinner treat. You couldn't afford it because they are a little expensive. But Foodland has beautiful variety of leg of lamb, especially this time of the year is when you want to prepare it. This has a piece of skin that's called the fell, F-E-L-L, and when you get yours home, you're going to want to trim that off. It also has some of the stamp from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the foods and the meat, you know, those guys are always watchdogging for us. Well, they always put their stamp on, and I don't like ever for that to be on the meat. So I try to trim it. Now, you don't want to trim all the fat because it's going to be very dry if you do that. But where there's a big clump or where there's a lot of it, trim it back. There is some bone. Let me show you. This is called the leg of lamb. Now, this is what I've trimmed off of this so far. See there? There is some bone in there, but that's okay because it's tasty, tasty meat. Once you have it trimmed pretty well like that, you'll discard that fat. There's nothing you're going to do with that because you don't need that. Then you're going to take a knife and you're going to pierce this every few inches, because what we're going to do, I think I'm going to need a sharper knife here. What we're going to do is, there we go. We're going to make the seasoning that we're going to put on this to season lamb. And one of the best things that you can season lamb with is garlic. It's wonderful. What we have here is some paprika. Let me get these out of my dish so I can mix them for you. It's about a good tablespoon of paprika. We have about 1.5 teaspoons of dried rosemary. That comes in the spice section. A couple of teaspoons of salt, ground black pepper, And this is about 2 to 3 cloves of minced garlic. And that's in that little mincer, okay? Mix those together. Now what we're going to do with this is we want to rub this all over the top part of this leg of lamb, because this is what's going to make it really fragrant. And I might suggest at this point, let's go ahead and put it in our roaster. All right? If you have a rack, put it on a rack. If you don't worry about it. Better on a rack though. Now I'm going to, in those slits that you've made, you're just going to mash it down all over the surface of this leg of lamb. And that flavor of that rosemary is going to permeate that meat down deep because of the slits. The juices will carry the taste of the garlic and the rosemary and all the other things, the pepper, everything else that we have mixed together here. You don't have to do the underside, just do the top side. Come on, this is a challenge. Don't go for the same old ham that you always make or roast that same turkey. Do something a little bit different this time, all right? This is going to go into the oven at 350 degrees for the first time, because you're going to stop it at different times, for 45 minutes. Then you bring it out, and you're going to baste it with orange marmalade. Just take your spoon it over the top, back in the oven for about another hour and 15 minutes. The thing you're going to want to place in here, though, if you don't have one, you need to get one. This is a food thermometer or meat thermometer. You're going to plunge this into the meat, not by the bone. You don't want to hit the bone. You want the meatiest part of this lamb. When you push it down in, and it goes in easily, and you're not hitting anything, doesn't feel like you're hitting the bone. That's where you want to put that. Bake that for an hour, for 45 minutes. Put the marmalade on. Then every 15 minutes, keep basting it with the drippings. The last 45 minutes, you're going to take your potatoes. And this is about 12 small. Those little red potatoes are fine, or just cube up some potatoes. Drain the water off. Put a little bit of salt on the potatoes and lay them around this leg of lamb. Now I'm going to tell you, you talk about a treat, this is something you're going to want to try for your family. I have one already prepared, and at the end of the program, we're going to be sharing it with you, okay? Well, we need some accompanying dishes to go with our leg of lamb. And I really, really like something like either asparagus or the greens, because this time of the year we're starting to get good fresh vegetables, and they taste wonderful. It's a little different than what the winter vegetables. So I thought, how about a nice head of cauliflower? And we have it here in our steamer. We have not made it into the little flower parts. This is one whole head of cauliflower. We're not cutting it up, placing it in our steamer. We're going to steam it until it's really nice and tender, because when we prepare it, we're going to make a topping for it called polonaise. This is going real good. You would steam that for, I would say, about 12 to 15 minutes, depending on how large the cauliflower is. Remember now, you don't want to cut that up. You want to leave it whole, and when you use your steamer, the water should come right to the bottom of the steam pot. See, I want to show you this. There's your outer pot. Here's the inside. The water is just below the surface of this steamer pot. It should not touch the foods or the bottom of the colander that's holding the food. Let that steam, let the steam build up. The lid has to fit good and tight so that the steam will stay there, and let it go. For about 12 to 15 minutes, it has to be nice and soft when you go to cut it. Well, one of the other things that we're going to be making is a wonderful Easter cake. This is one of the traditions at our house. Mom always had an Easter cake, a special cake, whatever kind. Usually it was chocolate, because my brothers loved chocolate cake. And Dad did too. But anyway, we're going to make a yellow cake. And I want to show you a really simple, no-fat icing. Yes, I said no fat. No fat at all in it. 2 egg whites that have come to room temperature. Put that in. And we're going to start to let them get frothy. Not real dry, but frothy. All right? And what I have done here, in the saucepan, I have taken 1 1/4 cups of the clear corn syrup, Karo syrup, And I have this in my saucepan, and it's going to come to a boil. And you can tell it comes very quickly to the boil. It doesn't take long to do that. That's not a boil. A boil is when it's rapidly boiling up. See, it's just starting at the bottom. When the top is boiling, this will be ready, okay? Meanwhile, the egg whites are going to get nice and frothy. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt to them too, because that's going to help. These are going to continue to beat, not dry. Don't make them dry, please. And what we're going to do is pour our corn syrup into the egg whites, add a little bit of vanilla, and you would not believe how wonderful tasting that icing is going to be, and no fat. You say, oh, Arlene, what are you worrying about no fat today because of all these wonderful things? It's true, but every little bit helps, and this will give you an idea when Monday morning comes and you say, oh, I ate too much yesterday, but we got to have a cake for something's going on later in the week. You'll think about the no-fat icing to go along with maybe a no-fat cake. You can see that these egg whites, I don't know if we can get an overhead shot of that, these egg whites, they come up very quickly. See, they're getting just nice. And we're almost there. We're going to keep them going. Now, this is definitely boiling. We're going to take this off. When it's like that, this is the right, you're done. Now, we bring this in, and please be very careful when you're doing this because we don't want any accidents here. You're going to pour this hot syrup into these egg whites in a very thin stream. Don't make it go real fast, just a very thin stream. Now what that does, this syrup cooks the egg whites, you see. And what it incorporates with it, and it gives it some body, almost like the good old seafoam icing we all enjoyed. My mom could make it like nobody else. She could make it, oh, I tell you. And you're going to pour until it's all poured in there. And then your syrup is going to let it beat for 6 to 8 minutes, because that has to have a chance for that to whip air into it and to foam it up. You can see how beautiful. I'm going to stop at 1 minute just to scrape the side down. Make sure that all the egg whites get on there. Now, you just let it beat. I'm going to add just a little bit of vanilla.
Do you love watching At Home with Arlene Williams? Then be sure to check out our new YouTube channel. It's filled with classic episodes from over 20 years of At Home, and more videos are added each day. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
While that's beating, because that's going to take us a little while, we're going to put together a really nice fruit salad, because that's another thing that I think of is spring. Fresh fruits, the strawberries are coming in. This will be a nice addition to your Easter buffet. First of all, we've taken a whole pineapple, and see this would be a pineapple like that. Isn't that nice? Isn't it amazing how God made things? Look at that. Who would create something called a pineapple that looked like that except God? I mean, I think it's wonderful. Anyways, we've cut them straight down the middle. You have to use a big sharp knife for that. We've cleaned out the pineapple in the center, and what we're going to make is a fruit salad. The base of it is going to be something called tropical fruits. And this is a little different than fruit cocktail. I don't like to use fruit cocktail. If you want to use all the fresh melons and stuff, go to it if you have the time. That's a wonderful addition. But I'm using 2 cans of this. And I'm going to add some kiwi. Just a couple of fresh kiwi. Love the colors here. We're going to add some fresh grapes. This is what always helps when you're trying to prepare something to make it look fresh, even though it maybe has begun with a can of something. Add a few fresh ingredients with it. Who will ever know? I mean, really, who will ever know? Okay, so we add a few grapes in there. If you can get fresh cherries, add some cherries. Okay, then, of course, we're going to slice up a few strawberries. Remember how we told you to take the stem out? You put the straw in the bottom, push up on it, it comes right out. Don't forget to do that. But we're going to slice our strawberries. And I'll tell you, the folks at Jordan Produce, this time of the year, they have so many beautiful flowers. They have Easter baskets that are fruit baskets. They have wonderful fresh produce that you really need to stop by and just see what they have and say hello to them. They're fine folks over there, provided all the flowers and all the fresh fruits for today's program, as they always do. Just say hello to Pat and Freddie and Doug over there and all the other people. They're just sweet people and we appreciate them. Look how beautiful it looks already. Now let's say, I think we're going to put some little chunks of the fresh pineapple that we took out of there. We don't want to use the core. So we're going to put that aside. And just cut, it doesn't have to be fancy little chunks, just cut pieces. I'll bet if I had a sharper knife I could do this. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, this one will, okay. You don't want to put too much of this in because there's already pineapple in the one that you, the can of tropical fruits has pineapple in it already. But the fresh adds a little bit something to it. Let's do a banana. And fresh banana always makes a fruit salad look really fresh. And the way that you can keep the bananas from turning, cut them up, put them in a bowl, put some lemon juice on them. They'll stay for a long time, all day. And they won't get real brown like they usually do, because that's when air gets them, that's usually what happens. I think our icing is just about there. I'm going to turn this off. Oh, it's so quiet. How nice. Okay. Now we're going to mix this up. Look at the colors. Is this beautiful or what? What do you think, Dale? Beautiful. I knew he would say that. All right, now we're going to get rid of some of this and clean up here. Now what we're going to do is spoon our fresh fruits into the pineapple. We're going to use this as our serving. Isn't that nice? I think it's beautiful. Isn't that pretty? It looks just so good and so fresh, and everything in this is so good for you. It really is. Take advantage during this time of the year when we're in the spring season and we're getting all these fresh vegetables and fresh fruits. Take advantage of them, seriously. Because come the middle of the winter, you were saying, oh, I wish we could have some of that fresh stuff that we had all last summer, but unfortunately we can't. So there's our fruit salad. Isn't that beautiful? Really nice, added to a buffet. Well, everything's still going over there. We're going to move right along now to our icing. And I told you that this cake is a tradition at our house because Mom always baked an Easter cake, whatever kind of a cake it was. She'd take a poll, what kind do we want, and we'd tell her. Basically, this is a yellow cake, one layer. And what I've decided, I thought something different this year. I'm going to put, this is called the strawberry pie filling. It's already made. I don't like the fresh strawberries in the middle of the cake because it makes it soggy. So we're going to add, isn't this nice? Look at those strawberries. Again, strawberries to me says Easter. It's like, you know, you don't see those little marshmallow peeps and stuff any other time of the year except Easter. And that's the time because it ushers in spring and it speaks of life. And the life that it speaks of is significant because of the life that Jesus has given us all. Can't compare with what he did on Calvary for all of us. All right, now we're going to put our second layer on. Doesn't matter if it comes out a little bit. It won't hurt. I'm just going to pull it back, though, because I don't want too much juice. And sometimes the fillings tend to put a lot of juice. There we are. Now we'll put the second layer on. You want to make sure you place it evenly. All right. Doesn't that look nice? Now, look at this icing. I'm telling you, folks. Do you ever see anything that looks any nicer than this? This, to me, reminds me of Easter when I see it. Sorry for all the noise here. But Mom said, get that out of that beater. Get that cleaned out. There's a little bit there that you're missing. Boy, she could clean a plate, a bowl, or anything better than anybody ever saw. She's good at it. And look at the consistency. Isn't this nice? Nice and creamy, no fat, no guilt icing, because it's easy to work with. It's real. It's like what we used to call seafoam icing. This is called Snow Peak. We're just going to put that on. I like the shine that this icing has. Get you one of these spatulas if you don't have one, because This is the way to go to get the sides. You just get a nice lot of icing on there. Get it right around the edge. So there's a big clump at top. Don't worry about it. Somebody will get it when they get that piece. That's okay. It's a wonderful time to have family together. And please be sure that you go to church with your family. Take them. You say, oh, I can't go. I don't have new clothes. Don't matter if you got new clothes or not. God loves you just the same. He's interested in you. He doesn't look so much at the out as he looks at the inside in your heart. And when you walk into that service and you know that really basically every Sunday that's where you ought to be, and you know that you're doing something you should be doing, just gives you a good feeling. Gives you a real good feeling that I'm doing what I should do. And that's attending service. So if you have not gotten into the habit of going to church at all, let alone on Easter Sunday, or if you're one of the type that says, oh, I go on Easter, how about going back next Sunday? Because, you know, the pastor, he'd like to see you more often than just once a year or even twice a year for Christmas. And it will do your heart good. You'll feel so good because you know that you've done something that you should be doing. And what you should be doing is worshiping in the house of God of your choice. So make that kind of a declaration, hey, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go this Easter Sunday, and I'm going to start going every Sunday, all right? I think if you do that and you really do it with a sincerity, God will meet you there and he will help you in life's problems. And it works for me. I'd like you to try it. All right, we're just going to continue putting this ice in. Look how foamy this is. Isn't it pretty? Now, you know what Mom would do? She'd make this like she wouldn't call it a nest or anything, but I'm going to show you what she used to do. After she'd get the icing all on, get it all nice and smooth, and she was a stickler for never, ever letting there be one little piece of cake show. She'd say, down there in the corner, you got a little piece of cake show in there. You got to get that covered, and I'd cover it up. Okay, it's beautiful. Now, smooth the top off. And then you color your coconut. And here's all different colors, and we're going to mix this up. Remember, our hint today told us how to make colored coconut. We're going to mix them all up. We're going to mix them together in a little bowl or a big bowl, whichever you have there. All right. You got the big bowl, it's going to work too. But you do them one color in each bag and keep them in the lighter tones like the pastels rather than going with the real dark Christmas colors. We don't want to do that. Try to keep the proportions the same. Mix them up, and then what Mom would do, oh, I didn't get that one little spot right there. Okay. Mom would take the coconut and go all over the side of the cake. All right. And after the coconut was all over the side of the cake, don't worry about getting it on the bottom. We'll clean that off later. Then she'd put jelly beans all over the top of the cake. Make it look like a little nest. Isn't this pretty and festive? Get the kids to get started doing this stuff. They would love this. Kids love to play or do stuff like this. You know that. Now, after that's done, and don't worry about this because that's decoration around the bottom, then you're going to put your jelly beans at random all over the top, just wherever you want to put them. And when we come back, we're going to show you the finished products of our Easter buffet. Simple, easy, but oh, so delicious. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Just go to ctvn.org/at-home to get all the recipes from today's show for free. That's right, no subscriptions. They're available online at no cost, and more are being added each day. So join us at ctvn.org/at-home to get today's recipes now.
And as you can see, our table is ready for our Easter buffet. We've brought our flowers. This should be the focal point in the center of your table, a floral arrangement or something that's very fragrant that will remind you of this is Easter. Let's start down here. This is the cauliflower. I didn't get to share the topping with you, but it will be included on the recipe when you send for them. It's brown breadcrumbs and a hard-boiled egg and some lemon juice. It's a wonderful topping that's called a polonaise, cauliflower polonaise. Next to it is our fresh fruit salad. And keep this chilled. It's really important to keep it good and cold. Over here we have our cake that we did. I think it's very festive. Everybody, the kids are sure to enjoy this, and the adults too. And then we come to the platter with the center of attention, which is our roast leg of lamb. This, all you do is baste a little bit, and look how beautiful it comes out. Here's your brown potatoes that, remember I told you, you place about the roast for the last 45 minutes. You want to do that. But I'm going to show you how to carve your leg of lamb. You're going to take your first slice going across. Usually we cut roast this way. We're going to do our first slice, and we're going to go across the lamb. You want that thermometer in there because for 140 degrees, you're at a rare lamb. 150 degrees is medium, and 160 degrees, look at this. Is this tender and juicy? Look at the juices coming out of this lamb. Tell you, if you've never done a leg of lamb for Easter or any other kind of a celebration, I would suggest that maybe this would be the year that you try it and just see if the family would like it. I hope that this is going to be a very special, special day for you and your family on Easter. And please, like I asked you before, just go to church and thank God for Jesus, because he's the reason that we're celebrating Easter at all. Be sure you tell your children and their friends and your family what it's really all about. If you've not made a commitment to serve Christ, maybe this would be the time that you'd want to do that. Above all else, I want to wish you a very happy Easter, and be sure to join us the next time, because it wouldn't be the same without you here at home. Happy Easter.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Fresh produce provided by Jordan Banana, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Dravosburg, PA. Cookware provided by Woolies. Your favorite gourmet deserves the best for less from Woolly Balcony Cookware. Groceries provided by Foodland, where the answer is always yes. Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.